Hello and welcome back for another episode of Starcastic Remarks alongside James and late Chris. We haven't even got a chance to talk to him. I'll tell you what we were trying to do here in a second, Chris. But this is Starcastic Remarks. We appreciate you for being here. Make sure you click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you never miss an episode of Starcastic Remarks. And as always, if you're listening on the audio side, leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that. Thank you to our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. Promo code there is THPN, just like our affiliation with the Hockey Podcast Network. Thank you, and use that promo code THPN. We had like a evil plan for you, Chris. We were going to try and start the show without you and then just wait for you to come on, and then I was going to get a chance to finally use some of my fancy buttons over here, like this one, to actually applaud you coming in, and you got lucky and came in at the exact right time. So, no.
And you still did the joke.
Yes, and I still did the joke because I wanted to push the button. Okay, I never get to push the button. Okay, like there's some fun buttons over here. Like, look, I got this one. I'm showing James. There's like a little slide whistle and everything. Great start to the show. Anyways, how are you guys doing? First off, and second off, how are we feeling about the Dallas Stars right now? Very broad question.
Great, my hockey team keeps winning, so I like that.
Yeah, it's real easy to watch a team when they don't lose.
We really shouldn't be talking about how long can this point streak go. We should really be saying how long can this win streak go. And I know they're shooting themselves in the foot right now. Redskovian is especially. But, I mean, the only blemish on this team's record right now is a shootout loss to the Colorado Avalanche. And there's nothing to be upset about with that, other than you probably should have won that game and it should have been 5-3 Dallas instead of 4-3 Colorado. But regardless, we've got a lot to talk about here today because the Stars are on a 15-game point streak, guys. This is the longest point streak we have seen them be on since the 1998-1999 Stanley Cup winning team with Craig Ludwig, Mike Modano, Brett Hall, all those guys, guys that, don't really matter all that much. But before we move on here tonight, I think we do need to take a step back and really talk about what they're actually doing, because I know that, 15-game point streak is amazing and everything, but I think it's starting to get a little ridiculous. I mean, it's 15 games in a row that they have at least gotten a point. And in every single one, they have gotten 2, except for one game. Yeah. And they haven't
even
lost.
Crazier is this has got to be a longer time frame than the 98-99 season. We're closing in on 2 months since we've lost a game in regulation.
And do you know what was the last game they lost in regulation, Chris?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
What is it?
It was the Blue Jackets on January 22nd.
Yes, and the very next day they went on to beat the Blues, and then they decided to beat the Blues again in the game after that, and then the rest is history, at least for now. So
in the Blue Jackets game, they should have won too. It was a 1-0 loss. I think that's their only shutout of the season, or the only time they got shut out.
Yep, it is. And this isn't like one of those stretches where they're like barely hanging on either. We talked about earlier in the season how, they were making some wins and they were getting some points down, but it just felt like they were, I don't want to say they were getting lucky, but they were just a good team finding ways to win. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But we're talking about games here where they're like controlling play, they're rolling lines, they're getting big performance from their stars. And then when they're not getting performances from their stars, they're getting performances from guys who are in their bottom 6 or not even in the lineup currently. I mean, Nathan Bastian had a big goal fairly recently. And then even Jake Oettinger, Jake Oettinger has probably received, in terms of criticism, there hasn't been much to criticize about, but he has received a lot of it. He's been fairly solid over the last 3 games as well, and except for the one goal. But we'll talk about that. But it's what's even more interesting about how they're doing this, guys, is just how they're doing it. Like I said, it's not just one guy carrying the team. Mikko Rantanen and Roope Hintz, 2 of their arguably best players, have not played basically since the Olympic break. Roope Hintz got into 1 game. That's it. The Stars have otherwise done this without 2 of their best players. And they're doing it with depth scoring, defensive structure. They're getting timely goaltending when they need it. And then all of a sudden with the blue line with Tyler Myers on it, it looks a lot more dangerous than it did, before the break. I mean, you got Wyatt Johnston, who's continuing to look like a superstar and a future captain of this team. Jamie Benn, who is having one of those Bennaissance, I guess, during this 15-game point streak, and the numbers prove it. I mean, Thomas Harley has kind of stepped up into a bigger role. He always seems to play better every time he goes off and does international competition. So that needs to be a yearly thing. Like that's maybe that's the way to get Harley going. And then on top of that, it's just the way they're playing, the physical style that I complained about before the Olympic break is finally starting to show up. We're finally starting to see it. We're seeing it where they're forcing turnovers, they're winning puck battles, they're not willing to get pushed around when teams try to like take an extra step after the whistle on our team or whatever. So the big question really comes down to, guys, is what exactly is driving this streak? What stands out to you the most about the way that they're playing right now? I mean, you could go in so many different directions, but what's something that stands out to you?
Yeah, the way that they're checking and the way that they're, like you said, standing up physically is what's different from the teams that we've seen in the past. And those teams relied on skill only pretty much. And I mean, it worked pretty well. They got to 3 conference finals with it, but they hit a wall each time because of the lack of physicality. And Pete DeBoer said that, I mean, he thought his way was correct. And I mean, credit to him. He won more games than any other coach during his span in Dallas, but he also kept getting stopped in the conference finals. So the checking, the physicality that they're bringing recently is really what makes even within this point streak, it feels different post Olympic break. It feels like they really took that kind of mini camp after the Olympics ended, and they really dug into what it meant to give 1% more physically. And it feels like it's happening more often. And the additions that you've gotten have helped that too. I mean, Redskovian obviously is the one you think of first and foremost with that, but a lot of guys have really contributed more and more physically. And even guys who you didn't think could, like Wyatt Johnston, I would say, has been a lot more physical, not in the post whistles ways that Redskovian does, but the way he's checking, I think the defensive system allows him to be more aggressive, attacking the puck and getting up and down the ice a lot more. And it just seems like everyone's buying into that. Like Goldson said at the start of the year, 1% more.
Yeah, I agree with you that after the Olympic break, it's really ramped up more. Before, it felt like they were still kind of surviving. They had a bit more of the physical play to it. I think the second Blues game where they just got pummeled into the ground, basically, physically, I think it ticked some people off. And after that, I mean, everything that moved was a target. And since then, it's been a really, it's been different from last season in the sense of the physicality. Like what we thought we were going to see towards the beginning of the season, we're seeing that now.
I think the biggest thing for me has just been, I know this is a stupid way to put it, but it feels different, right? It absolutely feels different than the last 3 years. Like the way that this team is playing, it feels like it's sustainable. And it also feels like that this is just an additional thing to their identity that they already had. Like they're still doing all of the things that they were doing beforehand. I mean, there's obviously some things that are different. Like obviously the power play is at a astronomical level with both Neil Graham and Glenn Golitzon's just fingerprints all over it. But everything that they were doing under Pete DeBoer, they're also doing under Glenn Golitzon. And Glenn Golitzon basically is just like, okay, let's add this stuff to it. And I think you're spot on, Chris, with the physicality aspect. There was somebody on I forget what night it was when the Stars played Edmonton this past week, but when Redskovian is just like right there at the center line, the red line, and he's just pointing with this stick over and there's like Ray Ferraro in the background, and Connor McDavid is just standing there, and someone was just like, someone needs to like paint this picture or like give it to Ritzy and have him frame that on his wall, because like that is an epic portion of his career that is. He's going to be able to tell his grandkids, hey, there's a one time I threw gloves with Connor McDavid. Like, I think that shows exactly what this team is they're not afraid of anybody right now. I would put the way this team is playing right now against anybody in a 7-game series, and I think we would win every single one of them. Like, every single one of the series. I have no doubt in my mind with the team and the way that they're playing right now. So... I do want to go with this though, and I do want to ask you: is this the deepest Stars team that we've seen over the past 4 years? Because there were a lot of us, including us, that were arguing that last year was probably the year because we had Granlund, we had Dodonov, 20 goals on the fourth line, basically, and stuff like that. Is this the deepest Stars team that we've seen in the last 4 years?
It's definitely not the deepest that we've seen as far as just skill goes, if that's what you're asking. But I guess the reason why I think that question even comes up in your mind is that we have so many fourth line guys who are willing to do the extra physicality that we've seen. Like Adam Ernie's been throwing the body all over the place. Bastian has one of the highest goals per time on ice of anybody on the team. And he also plays that very physical style. And it seems crazy that he's not in the lineup considering how good he's been for this team, but he does just get pushed out by others. And so I guess they have more fourth line grinding guys who can play that hard-nosed type of hockey that this team hasn't been able to play in the past than they ever had. And that's true. Skill-wise, they've been more skilled.
I think a large part of the fourth line being able to do that is that you do have the top lines playing more too. I mean, the fourth lines are playing 2 to 3 minutes less than they would under a Pete DeBoer system. And you have less skilled guys there, but you also have guys who can give more in shorter amounts of time. And I think that's where it really comes down to. Like, I think Blackwell fits this kind of style way better than he did ever in the Pete DeBoer system. He's so good at focusing in on like 1 or 2 shifts in a game and just putting all of his energy out there.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I think he has definitely blossomed in this system, especially. If you had to pick one player to be the MVP of this 15-game point streak right now, who would it be?
Well, I mean, the embodiment of it is, well, yes, Matt Duchene definitely points-wise, but the embodiment of the streak obviously is going to be Redskovian, just being able to add the physicality while still having the skill. But yeah, that was a softball.
Well, I know, but like the reason why I threw the softball is that there's so many different ways you could go with this. I mean, if you go and look at the stats, and I've got them pulled up, obviously Matt Duchene is going to get talked about a lot because of what he wasn't doing, and now what he is doing.
Is huge.
Exactly, and the other thing about it though is it doesn't feel like it's just one player who's doing it. It feels like with Rantanen and Hintz both out, it feels like everyone was just like, oh, okay, and they just took another level on the shelf and everyone upped their game. Like everybody has upped their game over the last, I don't want to say 2 months because it hasn't been 2 months, but over the duration of this point streak. Like it has just been that good. Wyatt Johnston, how important is he to this team right now?
I think he's the top line center, even when Roope Hintz does come back. I mean, getting Rantanen back and seeing how good Robo has played with Johnston, it's going to be tough to not try that with Robo, Johnston, Rantanen. I mean, it's been so good.
Yeah, Wyatt has been playing his best hockey by far since Mikko's been out. He's really embodied being like the top skill player on the team. And when something needs to happen, typically he's the one that goes into the offensive zone and makes something happen, whether it's just a zone entry or a quick dangle to get in. And the sustained pressure comes probably more from Robo retrieving pucks because that's kind of his thing. But it really is Wyatt who is leading the way, at least I think, 5-on-5 offensively. I know he has all the power play goals and he doesn't score as much 5-on-5, but his line spends a lot of time in the offensive zone 5-on-5, and I think he's the majority reason why.
It just goes to show you that he's not like one of those players that he's really, really good when he's with someone else who's also really, really good. It's like he can hold his own, right? He's absolutely holding his own, and just him and Rantanen both have that same it factor about them. And when you put them together, it just nightmarish for other teams. The other, I'm kind of going down a player list right now, just guys that I want to talk about. Chris, you mentioned Justin Redskovian. I think he has been probably the biggest. I don't want to say daylight. Someone help me think of a better word. He's been the best revelation of this point streak. Because I mean, we knew how good he has been and how good he's played this whole season. He wasn't even projected to be in the lineup, and now he's playing an extremely major role for this team. Like, he isn't the embodiment of what Glenn Golitzin wants to have to this team, which is that whole physicality aspect, and not willing to, back down when someone, kind of pushes you into a corner. And I think that's what makes him so endearing to the Stars fan base right now, and why, for 48 hours after the Edmonton game, everyone was like, wait, who is this guy who I can't pronounce his last name? Who is this guy? And now it seems like everybody around the league kind of knows his name.
Yeah, it wasn't really a revelation to me. I saw this coming. He did it last year in Texas. He started the season he was a unrestricted free agent that they signed from college. He was there to fill some gaps that they had in the lineup and to see what he could do. And I think he started the season on a third line. He finished the season as the team's one center in a deep playoff run, and only lost to Artur Shilovs, who was having a career year and was outstanding. So yeah, I absolutely knew he had the ability to do this. Him being able to step it up from college to AHL to now even NHL so quickly is shocking and amazing. But I definitely knew he had that type of energy in him, and he might be able to take it even another step in the playoffs, because that's what he did for Texas last year.
And I'll shorten how much Redskovian I think has done recently. I don't think it's been over the whole stretch. I think really it's been these last 5 games since that Colorado game.
He
popped off. He was by far the best player on the ice. I think he was even better than McKinnon in that game, honestly. He was everywhere, was doing everything. And he's just been nonstop in the game in one way or another since then.
He makes himself a factor. And I can't think of it off the top of my head where it's been a negative thing, right? It's almost always been a positive factor where he's made an impact on the game. And I mean, that's why I said, even after the Colorado game and the after game review I said that this guy reminds me so much of what Blake Coleman brought to the Tampa Bay Lightning when they won their 2 cups. Like, I know he's not the same player, and they've got different styles, but there are a lot of things that are very similar to what these players do. Is they bring their teams into the fight. And I think that's something that Redskovian is going to be able to do in the playoffs, which makes me even more excited to see him and how he does in the NHL playoffs. So another guy I wanted to kind of highlight a little bit, because we talked about Matt Duchene, we talked about Redskovian, but how big has Jamie Benn been with this resurgence that he's had during this 15-game point streak?
Yeah, he's been really good. I don't know. Yeah, he's been great. I mean, you love to see him playing well again. He started the season really slow, and it kind of worried you that maybe he is finally hitting that wall a little bit as far as age-wise goes. But no, he's proven in these last few games that have actually been more important, like the Colorado and the Oilers games, that when it's actually on the line and the chips are on the table, he's able to pull out old Jamie Benn again.
It's pretty insane. He had 14 points total before this stretch started. Now he's up to 29 points on the season. So just in these last 15 games, he's over doubled his points total. So he's been a really good. He's just found a way to fit with Duchesne, I think, is more than anything. Once Duchesne and Steele kind of got going, and then he kind of just slid in right there, and he's just able to complement it perfectly.
That's where I was going with this. The stats, he is a point per game player over this 15 game point streak. And I don't think it's ironic that, two of our best players are out and then everyone just steps up their game. And there's some chemistry there. Yeah, that line's
going to be so much better when it's a third line too, rather than a second. And I'm very excited for that even more. I mean, imagine them playing against worse opponents.
Or even imagine them, like, if for whatever reason, the top two lines are not on and their line is, like, you could give them more ice time and see if, like, and then they're actually a second line. Like, I don't know.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And that's what everyone always talks about with the Stanley Cup teams, is that the Stanley Cup teams have an amazing third line that could be a first or second. And Steele, Duchesne, Benn, that really is our third line when you get Roope and Rants back. And it's going to be fantastic when that happens. So they're going to be much better suited there. It's going to be better for the older guys on that line to maybe not have to play as much of the game. And it's going to give them more opportunity, I think, to, especially for Duchesne, to just obliterate some lower talent defenders with his skill. Because that's where a lot of weaker teams, they might bury a third line guy who's got some offense maybe, but not quite the defense. That's where I kind of feel like your Manthas kind of go to the third line.
And, since we're already talking about that line, let's go ahead and throw Sam Steele out there too. Like, he has 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points in 15 games, which that is more than
like
adequate.
He should have 20.
Yeah, but like
he's still missing those chances. He's just getting him so much more now. He can't help but score.
But here's the other thing is I was actually a little surprised to figure this out, but he leads the Stars in plus minus over this 15 game point streak with a plus 10. Like, you would expect someone like, if Foxa was in for this point streak, or, Essa Lindell, or, someone like that. No, it is Sam Steele playing on the second line with Matt Duchesne and Jamie Benn, and he has a positive 10 in the plus minus result. And again, I know it's a flawed stat, but still, over a period of time, that's impressive. That is I think it's absolutely impressive that he's able to pull that out as a right winger right now. So he deserves just as much love and accolades as do all of these Dallas Stars players right now. So, okay. Now I am going to throw this in here too, because I think we do need to talk about this. And I am curious how y'all feel about this, because I want to jump to Jake Oettinger for a second, because that seems to be the thing that's a little bit touchy in terms of a touchy subject. Because right now, some people are saying that he needs to be playing better. There's some concern with his play right now. And I think you could look at the numbers and you could argue either way. I'm just curious with how you feel about his play over this 15 game stretch, because I will point out he is 10-0-1 in his last 11 games. That's really the main one you want to focus on, is that he has won basically every single game that he has been a part of over this stretch. He has to have. So, but that being said, are y'all concerned, or where are y'all at?
He has to be better still, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the one blemish on here. Yeah, you can blame a empty net mishap, but he didn't play great against Colorado. He got outplayed by Wedgie in that game again, and that's what we kind of talk about. Yes, he's not ever really the reason that you lose the game. That's very rare to happen for Otter, but it's also been rare for him to be the reason we win the game. It hasn't happened a lot this season, and it's happened even less the past 2 playoff runs. And that's got to change. He's got to be a factor in these games. He can't just be he's good enough to win a cup for you. He's getting paid like he's a guy that can win 2 games for you every series. That's what his expectation is. That's what he set his expectation as, and he's got to live up to it. That being said, he can't do anything right now to change that. Like, no matter how good he plays in the regular season, nothing's going to change. It's all going to come down to what he does in the playoffs. So right now, I really don't care. He's playing good enough to let us win these regular season games, have a chance to catch Colorado. Sure. When it comes playoff time, he needs to start figuring out how to be a factor in the win and not just not allowing his team to get creamed.
I think since coming off of Olympic break, he's been a lot better outside of the Colorado Avalanche game. That game, I don't know what happened to him, but he disappeared late in that game, big time. I really think he gets too comfortable when he has like a 3-goal lead, which is tough to say for a goaltender. But overall, his only save percentage, his lowest save percentage since the Olympic break is that Colorado game. After that, it's a 9-17 versus Detroit the other night. So he has been playing much better since the Olympic break. Before that, I felt like the Stars were winning in spite of him. Now it feels a lot more like they're winning with him. He tends to trend the correct way after the trade deadline too. I don't know when they're going to bring up those stats again, but I'm sure they're going to circle again. He is a monster after the trade deadline.
But I mean, which game would you have picked Oettinger to play his best game of the ones that we've had since the break? It's the Colorado game.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes you feel worse
with the Vegas
playoff
game
Oettinger.
too, though.
He did. But
Vegas is Vegas right now. They're
right.
Vegas is not a top
doing...
team right now. They're not.
Exactly.
They're not a contender for me, in my opinion.
That's the thing that makes me pause more, is that was the biggest game of this whole section that we've played since the Olympic break. And for him to play his worst in the biggest, and what felt like the biggest too. I mean, with how the buzz, the Friday night, trade deadline day, everything was turning that into a playoff atmosphere. And for him to have his worst effort in that one, that doesn't, I mean, that scares you a little bit for what the playoff, that's a playoff game's going to be like that every single time.
He'll get his redemption game.
He's got multiple chances to have redemption games. Yeah. I mean, the Colorado game's coming up, the Minnesota game's coming up. Those are going to be must-see hockey.
Needless to say, I'm not too worried about it personally.
Okay. And I've got stats galore. Okay. Because I was trying to make up my mind because I didn't know how I feel about this. But okay. So you look at the last 5 games that he's played. There's one outlier. And you can guess which one the outlier is, and that's the Colorado game. He had an 862. Okay, that's not good. That's not good enough. If you look in the other 5, Vancouver 929. Okay, you should expect that against the worst team in the NHL. Fine, whatever. 963 versus Vegas, like you said, James, came back. 938 against Edmonton, which I know Edmonton's had their issues this year, but they still have 2 of the best players in the world. And then even in the Detroit game where he basically scored one on himself by accident, he still had a 917. So that goes to show you that it seems like he is trending in the right direction a little bit. But I would agree with you that one blemish, that one question mark, doesn't make Stars fans feel a whole lot better because we're not trying to look past the first round, but we're looking at the path to the cup because that's what we expect this team to do. Colorado is very clearly in that way. And Colorado, with Scott Wedgwood, the way he's playing right now, is scary. It's scary if Jay Oettinger is going to play that way. Now, that being said, what I did do is I went and looked at some advanced metrics, and I also looked at some just basic ones too. So if you look at every goalie in the NHL who's played at least 15 games, I thought this was crazy. But the average save percentage is, where do you think it is?
It was like right around 900.
What do you think, James?
That's kind of what I would say too.
The average is actually an 892. That's like average goaltending right now. So when people see Otter sitting around the high 890s or right around 900, it feels low because that's just the way that we have kind of grown up with hockey, is that 905, 910 and above, that's probably really good. And it still is really good. But in reality, that's basically just league average starting goaltending this season is 892. So they are getting above average goaltending from Oettinger. And it doesn't feel like that because of based off of the numbers that we're seeing. And also based off of some of the oopsies that he has had and some of the goals that we've been like, you'd probably want to save on that. So,
but he's not paid like a league average goalie is the problem.
But he is paid like an above average goaltender right now. When you look at the way that some of the contracts are structured right now, I mean, Bobrovsky making $10 million, and he signed that contract a long time ago. When you look at Shesterkin is one of the best goalies in the world, and he's at $12 million right now. If you look at Sorokin, I would think Sorokin is one of the best goalies right now. If you look at Vasilevsky, all of those guys are making more than Jake Oettinger is right now. And that contract that Jake has right now is going to look better as the cap continues to rise. Now, I say all of that to say this. I do not think that the Stars have to have elite number, Connor Hellebuck numbers in order to win the Stanley Cup. They need to have above average goaltending, which is what they are getting right now. That is, and I would think that they are even getting better than above average goaltending right now, based off of the numbers that we've seen, especially in the last 5 games.
Recently, yes, but I
have kind of a weird thought too. This is the first year that the Stars have really started to try to clamp down defensively on shots against too. I mean, the shots against this year have been seen that as a trend lately. Yes. And if you go and you look at goals allowed per game, Otter's sitting 15th overall, which is not bad. Save percentage, he's 27th. So it's he is facing less shots. Maybe that's pulling some of his rhythm away, but I think he's starting to get back into it, honestly.
Ryan, I'm hearing your argument, and it's saying Ottinger's not bad. He is good enough to win. That is correct. That's not what we were promised. I mean, when he signs that contract, we're not promised that Ottinger's not bad and that he's good enough for us to win. We're promised that he is a rising elite goaltender that's going to win you the cup. And he hasn't been that. And he said that that's his goal, is to be one of the best goalies in the league and to play in those big games and to be that guy in those big games. We haven't seen him do it since Calgary, his first year. That's where I'm saying he's not living up to. He is definitely good enough for the Stars to win with him playing the way that he is now, being slightly above average. 100% correct. The Avs did it with a terrible goalie. So, yes, you can overcome that. But that's not what's promised with Jake Oettinger. Jake Oettinger is promised to be the next big thing. He's promised to be the next American goalie after Connor Hellebuck. He's going to get the Medal of Freedom next. So he's not doing that yet.
Don't open that can of worms. James, did you have something else? It looked like you had something else.
The only thing I will say is Otter at least is very much a winner. And we do see him give up on games that the Stars have pretty much already won. He's won the third most in the league, even with a 900 save percentage, which we've been over is definitely not good enough. But I think if you keep seeing the wins, I'm okay with it for the regular season.
For the regular season, yes. James, I don't know why that made me mad, but what you said made me a little bit mad. Saying that any of these Dallas Stars are winners right now is not correct. They've lost the conference finals 3 years in a row.
Justin Redskovian hasn't, though.
Okay, there you go.
I'm trying to poke holes.
He lost the conference final last year, so there you go. He's still on that bus.
Okay,
these guys haven't done anything yet. They keep losing in the same spot. So to say they're winners, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, because I don't know. That just opens the loser mindset to me. I don't think these guys have that, but I don't know. That just made me slightly angry, and I had to voice it. I apologize.
Otter definitely likes winning games, and he's very good at it.
He does like winning games. He's very good at it, but he hasn't done it on the biggest stage yet, and that makes me angry.
Well, he hasn't gotten the chance to, but at the same time, and
He's
Chat
gotten
over
the
here,
chance.
No,
he went up
he
against the
hasn't.
best player in the world 2 years in a row.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't
He
gotten
got
to do
yanked.
it. He hasn't. But I don't. I still. We're not gonna get into that again. Oh
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah, I don't open that. But okay. So, but here's what Chat's talking about over here, guys. Okay, they're talking about they're talking about the fact that the Stars were not getting offense the last couple of years in the Stanley Cup Finals, right? I mean,
Yes,
there's only
of
so
course.
much that
Western
Oettinger can
Conference
do. He
Finals.
can't score the goals though, right?
No.
So
can't.
that needs to be something that we see differently in the playoffs. And this year we've seen it in the regular season. The power play is second best in the league, only to Edmonton.
The first two conference finals, that's correct. This most recent one, they got smacked around and rolled over. So that was not correct. They got scored on and they couldn't score.
Fair.
They got the brains beat in.
Now, I said all of that other stuff, right? To kind of back up Oettinger, but I will also throw this in here too, because the stat that a lot of people use is goals saved above expected, and that's a fancy stat. That's a fancy analytical stat, and basically, if you are 0, you are perfectly average, right? If you have a 0.0, you are perfectly average. Like, for example,
making the saves you're supposed to make.
Yes, exactly. So for example, Kochetkov in Carolina is that goalie. He is making the saves he is supposed to, and he's allowing the goals that he should be, according to Money Puck, I should say, by the way. Oettinger is a negative 0.6. So not great for where you want your starting goalie to be. That being said, he is 47th out of, I think, 92 goalies, which, by the way, Jordan Binnington is the worst at minus 20.5. Like, oh my goodness, that's bad. But on the flip side, Mr. Casey DeSmith is 10th in the NHL with 13.2 goals saved above expected. So there is some, not huge, security blanket after Oettinger, but if Oettinger, for whatever reason, is not playing the way that he should and not giving you above average goaltending like I think he should be, then you've got Casey DeSmith, who has shown in the regular season, especially this year, that he can definitely steal games. My point being is that I don't think that the Stars need him to. If they are playing the way that they should be, which is the way they've been playing over this 15-game point streak, then they don't need Casey DeSmith. They don't need Jake Oettinger to go out there and steal them a game. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think this postseason, Otter's going to have a backup closer to him than he's ever had it before. So hopefully that's a little bit motivating. I think it's very unlikely that would ever happen, especially considering what happened at the end of last season. But it's very much there. I mean, Casey Smith has been fantastic. If anyone's deserving of a look after maybe a couple of games of not the best goaltending, I mean, he's the guy. So like I said, I don't think it'll happen, but maybe that's a little motivating for Otter at the very least, having a guy that close behind him.
Honestly, I'm kind of tired of the riding one goalie into the playoffs kind of thing, because the Oilers constantly don't do that, and they've made it to the finals twice.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I still
like we have a
we're
really
sitting
good
here
backup
over analyzing our goaltending situation, and I'm like, I am so happy we are not the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. Well, the Oilers might miss the playoffs right now. So
yeah, oh my goodness.
But with how good DeSmith has been playing, I want to at least use him in the playoffs. Like, it doesn't have to be like Otter had like a bad night. Like, give Otter a break for one night out of the playoffs. The Stars always go late in series. He always ends up playing so many games, and for how much, like we always say, it doesn't matter as much for goaltenders. It kind of seems like it does.
So maybe go against the traditional way. What you're talking about is just go against the traditional way of how it's been done, where how
They're
Florida
already doing
rode
that in the regular
Bobrovsky
season, though.
Yeah.
Like every team does it in the regular season. They play both goaltenders. And I understand that 82 games is very different, but the Stars tend to play 20 to 30 games in the postseason anyway. So like, what's the point?
I just don't know how you can play a backup in a playoff game and say that gives you the best chance to win, you know?
Because I think it's because of how good DeSmith has played this year.
Maybe.
But DeSmith has, you could also argue, and this kind of goes into my next little part, is what's his level of competition that he's played against? Like, who are the teams that he has played against compared to Jake Oettinger?
I think that's an argument in his favor. He's been amazing on the second night of back-to-backs where he has a more tired team playing in front of him. So if anything, I think that's a point in his favor. But even further, if you do decide, yeah, we want to play both goalies and do it more similar to the way you do it in the regular season, where do you put him in at? Like you just say game 3, DeSmith is playing no matter what?
I would do game 2. And I don't know if I would say no matter what, but like I really think if you can get Otter at least one game of rest in there, it's going to do a lot more for him than we're thinking it would.
And maybe it would throw off the preparation of whatever team you're facing. Because if you keep it quiet that he's going to start game 3, I mean, I'm trying to throw.
And then the other side is, how do you look at your team and say, we're playing our backup goalie tonight, but this gives us the best chance to win? It just seems so hard to me to do that without doing it the way that the Oilers have done, where they're just trying to ride the hot hand, you know?
See, I disagree to a certain extent, though, Chris, because it's like both of these guys have been really, really good. And everybody knows that Oettinger's the number 1. But you could put either one of these guys in front of the team, the way that the team is playing right now, and either one of them could have gone the exact same, a 10-0-1 point streak like Oettinger is on right now.
It would be really interesting to see, for sure. I just haven't seen it where you were like...
It's been super successful.
Right. The only way I've seen it work is when you're riding the hot hand. Texas did it last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They went.
I was actually thinking about that.
And Hellberg, but they didn't do it just like, hey, let's give the other guy a rest and throw the other guy. And it's like, no, this guy needs to get pulled right now, or this guy didn't have a great game last game. We're switching to the other guy. Play him until he has a not great game or a not great period. And they were switching him like crazy. And that's the way that Edmonton was doing it as well. They were just riding the hot hand, and once one of the goalies become unplayable, that's when they would switch to the other guy, and he would be a little bit better. But I don't know if you can really do that in a planned way and not just riding the hot hand. Like, I don't think anyone's done that before.
Fair enough.
The only thing
it would be interesting
is, like, even the Avs, when they won, I know Kemper got hurt in their conference final, but they played Francouz in that conference final the whole way. So even Kemper going into the finals had rest for at least a series.
Fair enough. That's true. But that goes to show my point is that you don't have to have a superstar, bona fide number 1, best in the league goalie to go and win the Stanley Cup. And I think Jake Oettinger is more and above that. And I think the same thing about Casey DeSmith too, with the way that he's played this year too. So I would...
Well, the Avs would have won that year with the 12U goalie in net. So I don't think that's probably true.
Okay. Let me get back to more of the 15-game point streak questions, because again, that is mostly what we're talking about. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is some critics have been saying that, the schedule has helped. And I would argue that to a certain extent that is true. Okay, fair enough. It started with 2 games against St. Louis, and St. Louis looks like they're on a tear right now, by the way. But this was St. Louis before the, middle to end of January, right? They were not very good, right? But when you look at the teams that we've played since, especially on this home stretch that we've had, these 6 games, there have been a couple of good teams that have come into this barn, and the Stars have just obliterated them. I mean, the perfect game that I point at is that 7-2 win by the Stars over the Oilers. And again, I get it. I know the Oilers are still, they're not having a great season, and yada, 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 goaltending, blah, blah, blah. Vegas came in here too and did the exact same thing. And we were still able to win that game as well. And I think it's just a dumb argument that some of these critics are making.
I don't know. I think the Oilers had a pretty horrible. Yari had a pretty horrible game that night. That led to the lopsidedness of that one more than anything.
The
It
start
wasn't just
definitely
Jari
was bad,
though, man. The
but
defense is terrible.
Their whole team
Okay, well, there you
collapsed after Jari gave up the weak ones. The whole team collapsed. So,
well, I mean, it's just like Evan Bouchard making the turnover at the Stars blue line, and I mean, we could go on about that, but do you take any account of that? Like, is it really that big a deal?
Yeah, I think the teams they've played haven't been fantastic. I mean, it's been a good stretch for them, and they've taken full advantage of it, though, too. You have to give them credit for. And the way that they've played in those games has definitely been different. So, I mean, any kind of long streak, any kind of record setting, anything like that, I think you do need to have a little bit of, I mean, it's not really luck, but you need to have something on your side to help you get there. And I think this schedule has definitely done that. Or even just where these teams are at in the schedule, too. Because, I mean, Edmonton and Vegas are good teams. The Stars just got them at pretty rough times in their season. Vegas had one of their better games of their recent stretch against the Stars, and they still took care of them. So, yeah, I think they've definitely gotten some luck with how the schedule shook out, but you got to give them credit for taking full advantage of it as well.
Well, then you say that, but also the Stars are down Rantanen and Hintz right now.
And that's true as well. Yeah,
that's what makes all of this more impressive is that they're missing. I wouldn't consider Roope Hintz their second best player, but they're missing two of their top players right now, like out of their top six, and other guys have stepped up in their absence. So, I mean, you could look at it either way.
Two of their top five scorers.
Yeah.
You asked me about the schedule. You didn't ask me about it in general.
Yes, true. Fairly, but in general, yes, that both of these things are true. Was there one game during this stretch where you thought this team looks legitimately dangerous and looks like a Stanley Cup contending team? What game kind of told you that, if any of them did?
I thought it was the Colorado game. I mean,
that's the one game they lost.
They really botched that one.
Yeah, I thought that game they went up against the team that has obviously been the best team in the NHL this year. They took it to them early and kept going with it, and some goaltending lapses and then a gaffe at the end was the only reason they lost it. And that's without their two best players. Colorado, I mean, they were loaded that game. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't think they had anybody important out of their lineup that night.
They did not have all of their acquisitions. Like, I don't think Kadri was in that game, but they did have like Kulak and some other guys.
Yeah, the Stars didn't have Bunting or
Rantanen, who's historically just killed them every time he's faced them.
Exactly, the Av killer.
Well, for me, that was the game for me too. That game and the Edmonton game, and it's like I know that Edmonton is in a rough stretch right now, but they just completely dominated the Oilers Edmonton. From puck drop to the end of the game. Like, it was never close. So even the stretch where they were down 5-0 and they came back in the game and made it 5-2, I was still never like truly worried about how the game was going. It was just that's how games go. Edmonton made a slight push, and then Dallas pushed back even more so in the third period. So, well,
it wasn't even really that Edmonton made a slight push. It was that the Stars kind of pulled back.
and there's a point to be made there too as well. So, okay. Well, I had one question was, what's the one thing about this team that still concerns you even during this run? But I think we already talked about that at length. So let me ask you guys this question. Are you with me in agreeing that the streak that they're having right now is different than the way they were playing at the beginning of the season? Like, do you think that the way they're playing is sustainable? And do you think that this can continue to translate to the last 16 games of the regular season and then hopefully a deep playoff run into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think not having Roope and Mikko has been a something that kind of proves that this is sustainable. This is a system change that these guys have implemented, and it's been successful even without guys who have crazy high shooting percentages. And that's been one of the things that a lot of analytical people have been dogging on the Stars for. I mean, they have one of the highest shooting percentages in the league. That generally reflects that you're scoring more than you should. Since the Olympic break, they've been the best expected goals at 5-on-5 team in the entire league. And their forecheck has been on a whole nother level. That's the thing that's improved most pre and post Olympic break. Their forecheck just seems so suffocating right now. And
it's a lot of the bottom six guys that are doing that too. It's not even the quote unquote skill players. It's a lot of the Redskovians, the Ernies, the Bastions, the Becks, like all of those.
Those are the things that win you playoff hockey games.
So the other thing I just wanted to throw at you guys is I had a lot of other stats that I wanted to throw out there, but I mean we got to talk about the power play for a second, because they're right now during this streak they're running at a 32.1%. Like that's just absolutely ridiculous. Anything above 25% is considered elite. And yes, they have been 32% on this stretch, but that's been consistent all year. Like 30% plus has been consistent all year. So that's not something that just kind of developed overnight. And that's not the thing that has changed, although it has been absolutely cooking right now for the Stars on this point streak. What have y'all seen from the power play over this stretch, if anything has looked any different?
I mean, Neil Graham, I think, is a huge part of that, and you got to give him a ton of credit. And I mean, look at the Texas Stars. They had one of the best power plays in the AHL last year. We come to this year, it's one of the worst. They're 30th. So I think he was definitely a big part of that. And what he does is it's the movement, and his willingness to change on the power play is really what's been the key for the squad this year. And they've shook things up. They started the season especially hot on the power play as well. When they went on that first winning streak, that's how they were doing it. They were doing it with power play. That finally got shut down a little bit, and he's been able to adjust yet again. And it's been really fantastic what he's been able to do. And it's even different from last year's power play, I think. You look at what they were doing in the playoffs last year. I mean, that goal line pass, the one that won us Game 7 against the Avs, they kept looking for that every single time, the whole rest of the playoffs. I don't think Neil Graham's going to allow them to do that. He's going to force them to be more flexible, force them to be more creative. And I'm really interested to see how he can, what kind of tactics he can come up with in a full game series against one team. I think that's going to be especially exciting to see. And this is really, I know Goaltending's not really close to a retirement area right now, but Neil Graham as your next head coach being in the wing,
that scares me.
You really can't let him go. And I think, unfortunately, if Goaltending is as successful as we think he's going to be right now, he's going to get purged before he gets a chance to actually be the head coach of this squad. And that's a shame for me, because he's really proven to be a brilliant hockey mind.
Yeah, I think far and away the biggest thing about this stretch of power play has been the coaching, because you've seen the unit pretty much completely change. I mean, the
completely different players, same coaching, same result.
And your best power play passer in Rantanen is out, and it doesn't matter because it's the way they're moving. And I think the movement was the biggest thing you said there, Chris. It's the players individually moving. They're all moving constantly. No one's standing still. They're trying to create different angles to get the puck to the front of the net. And it's really the most fun part of the night when the Stars get on the power play, because you see how they're poking and prodding at the penalty kill, just trying to figure out how to get in.
Yeah, they're dissecting it. And even Johnston, who you would say has been in the bumper spot for pretty much the whole year, where he is in the bumper spot is always different from section to section, from throughout the year, from even just every time they try and get it to him. And he's been a big part of it too. His intelligence of where to move and where to be open in such tight quarters has been really impressive to see.
I think the power play, the style that they have him playing, leans heavily into Wyatt Johnson's strengths. That is his whole strength, is his hockey IQ, and he gets to use it to its full extent on the power play.
And the reason that is because with that extra player movement that we're talking about on the power play, it forces the PK to move differently too, and it doesn't have that predictability. So for some players that are just put your stick on the ice and shoot machines, that's not going to be good for them because they don't have the predictability of I need to be here to score. Johnson has to fluctuate with how Stars players are moving and with how the PK is defending it night in and night out, and it's different every single time. But like we've talked about, his best skill set is his hockey IQ, and that allows him to utilize it the best.
And to be expected, the Stars are first in the NHL since January 23rd to now in terms of power play percentage. That's no surprise. They're 32.1%. And then the other side of it, the PK has kind of been up and down a little bit all year. I mean, mostly the power play has been up all year, I would say. It's been up and down with the PK, but even now, the Stars are second in the NHL over their 15-game point streak.
Their worst night was against the worst power play in the entire
I know. Isn't that bad? It's just weird. It's just those weird anomalies that just kind of happen and are just absolutely strange.
And I tell you, with Foxy being out a little bit longer, R2 Huru could be an insane spot there. I mean, his face-offs are nuts.
He's life-saving.
He's out there for every draw. When he was with Texas last year, every time you needed to win a draw, he's out there every single time because he's that automatic with it. And he's proven that he's able to play that checking style on the fourth line. He's starting the PKs right now as a guy you just called up a few games ago who's been hurt for the majority of the year. He's still the first guy that they're throwing out there on the PK. I think he is definitely going to stick around this Dallas squad. They're hoarding players like crazy right now. I think they're going to keep doing it. And it sounds like Fox is not going to play game one of round one right now. So I would expect Huru to be in the lineup for game one.
There's so many stats here as well, guys. I had so much other stuff. I'll just throw them out there too. But James, you were talking about, especially in the first period, the Stars have just controlled the game in terms of shots on goal. I mean, their shots on against per game right now over this stretch, 22.6. That's second in the NHL over that stretch. The Stars are also, they have been taking less shots, and they're only at 27.1%. So that's 22nd in the NHL. So that's goes to show you that the shooting percentage is not going down anytime soon. And then again, I just want to, this is the most ridiculous stat of all of them. Their points percentage over this stretch, 906. That sounds like a save percentage.
It does.
like
Otter would kill for that save percentage right now.
He would right now. I mean, in terms of goals for, they are fourth in the NHL with 62 over the stretch. Goals against over that stretch, they are 36. They have 36 for first in the NHL over that stretch. The next closest team is the Ottawa Senators with 41. So it's not like this is like an all-time historic point streak in what we're seeing from this team right now, and they're doing it without Mikko Rantanen, their new, I would still call him a new shiny toy. He's still relatively new, and also without Roope Hintz, who's been their number one center for a long time now. So, I mean, I don't know how you look at this team and say that they are not arguably probably the Stanley Cup favorite going into the playoffs if they can keep this up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
might be peaking too early.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was kind of thinking. They've been on such a run.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, well, that's what goalie keeps saying in the post games. He keeps trying to say there's things to improve. I see things we can get better at, and I'm sure that's kind of the mantra he's trying to keep with his team because he's trying not to let him peak early. But absolutely, it feels like that's what's happening. I don't think you can hold on to this level of hockey for that extended amount of time. How many games do they have left? 15 or something like that.
16.
Yeah, I mean, trying to keep up. The Avs being in front of them definitely will help that, but I just don't see you can play. I mean, they've already done it once, I guess. Why don't just do it twice? Keep up this pace of hockey.
There's only one other thing I've got, guys, and then we can start wrapping things up. I do think Miro Heiskanen needs a shout out. as well. I mean, there have been so many players that have been so quiet. It feels like Robertson. Robertson has 21 points in 15 games. I know that seems weird, but it doesn't feel like it. Like he should have that many points. Yet he does. He had that. I know he had like that 4-point game against the Oilers. So, but Miro Heiskanen from the blue line, 2 goals, 15 assists, 17 points, and he's still doing his thing and eating up every single minute that is available. I mean, he's 25 and a half basically per game over the stretch. So that ice time is absolutely enormous, and he's basically playing half the game. And then when you've got another guy in Thomas Harley who can play the other half of the game on the other pairing, this team doesn't seem to have a huge weakness right now. We are poking holes, and we are overly criticizing and overanalyzing our goaltending situation when we have nothing to worry about compared to the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, this team is on an absolute tear right now. I think this point streak can go on. I don't see them obviously keeping the next 16 games with a point, but I think that the way that they're playing right now is playoff hockey. It's sustainable, and I really wish that the playoffs could start right now. Because
one's coming up this week. You got Colorado and Minnie. Go prove it.
And the Stars are only 4 points behind the Colorado Avalanche right now for the division and also for the conference and also for the NHL lead. Yeah. So last question. Do they get there?
Do they get to first in the division?
Do they eclipse Colorado?
If I'm betting, no. But man, I really want them to.
Well, here's the thing though. If we did get the first, the first overall seed, we would be probably playing some team like San Jose. Do you want to play against Macklin Celebrini?
Yes.
No, thank you.
Compared to Colorado and Minnesota, absolutely I do.
Yes. Because your other choices is Kirill Kaprizov or Macklin or McKinnon.
Yeah, Kirill Kaprizov and some of the biggest fourth liners you've ever seen in your life destroying your defensemen for at least 4
and they have
games.
Quinn Hughes now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we've got, beef on the back end with Bichel and Myers.
Doesn't compare to what Minnesota's going to unleash on whoever's unfortunate enough to draw them in the first round.
Man, I'm so excited for the playoffs. This is going to be awesome, man. And we have to wait another 16 games before this is over. But guys, appreciate y'all for being here once again. Thanks to all of you who are over in the chat. Real quick, got to say thanks to Ryan giving us the $19.99 super chat there. We're not even at full strength. Yes, we are not even fully there. This team looks good, and really wish the playoffs could start tomorrow. Thank you, everybody who's been following along with us live. There's even more of you who are listening afterwards. Once again, please consider clicking like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on YouTube, leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Once again, thank you to DraftKings Sportsbook. That promo code there is THPN. As always, THPN. Alongside James, alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side, and we hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening. Whenever you guys are listening, go Stars.